Wakey wakey! Hello everyone, and welcome back to 4+, the only channel with your favorite host, Mr. Minus. So last week we covered easily one of the most terrifying analog horrors the world has ever seen. If you missed that episode, I'd highly recommend viewer discretion. So as a way to help ease us back into the more traditional content, let's speak about a movie I know a decent amount of you must like. And that movie is... Hey dude, where's my car? Starring Ashton Kutcher and made in 2000, this is not the movie we are covering today. Gotcha, didn't I? Nah, instead, we are covering one of my all-time favorites, Cloverfield. If you're unaware, the Cloverfield series might be one of the most unique franchises in film. The movie debuted its trailer in theaters with the greatest movie of 2007, that being Transformers. There was no title given, and all it showed was an explosion with the head of the Statue of Liberty getting lobbed down the street. Some speculated it was a Godzilla film, but none were aware of what they were about to witness. Later films would do interesting marketing strategies as well. 10 Cloverfield Lane, for example, dropped its trailer very close to the release of the actual film, and Cloverfield Paradox, dropped its trailer at the Super Bowl while announcing its release on Netflix after the game. Cloverfield itself released in January of 2008 and was directed by Matt Reeves, who was yet to direct the Batman starring Edward from Twilight. Shortly after, he would be mostly known for having directed another vampire movie, Let Me In, and some movies about apes. The franchise is kind of on ice right now, but fuck it is what I say. Mr. Plus and our editor reacted to this, so I say it's my turn to cover this. But enough gab. It's time to grab our cameras and hold our clovers. This is Cloverfield.
Wait, did you know, statistically speaking, roughly only 3 subscribers for every 178 have witnessed the glory that is 4Player, our gaming channel?
Where do we go to hide? I need another place. Oh no!
If you check the description below, you will find a link to 4Player, as well as our Discord that has plenty of community interaction. You can suggest videos, share your creativity, and find support amongst your fellow members of the 4+ cult fan base. Additionally, please be sure to like and subscribe for future updates regarding this developing story. You may now return to your video, brave one.
Cloverfield. We open up to some logos as we see text telling us that this is property of the Department of Defense, stating that it was retrieved from what was once known as Central Park. We see handheld footage of a New York apartment in April as our protagonist looks at some pictures. He goes over to a naked lady in bed and decides to wake her up. Dickhead, break up with him now. The two talk for a bit. He tries shooting things into her mouth, but fails. She snatches the camera as we see our mysterious cameraman. He kind of looks like John Constantine, or rather just Matt Ryan. So Matt Constantine's brother walks down the road and heads to a convenience store with a friend who wants him to get testimonies for his brother. The camera glitches a bit, but Matt Constantine's brother eventually caves in to do his part. Instead of being responsible, he pawns the responsibility off to, oh dear, look at that. Yeah, that's how you know a movie is old, dude. TJ Miller was in it, you are now officially dated. Yes, even you, Rise of the Beasts. So Weasel gives in and decides to do the testimonies on the promise of talking to Marlena as we get our first testimony. Weasel seems to be enjoying his new role as the party takes off. We eventually see him approach a couple, one of which is Juice from Sons of Anarchy, as well as shades from Luke Cage, and in recent times he's the doctor from The Penguin who let Sophia Falcone tie him up. Anything for therapy, right? Fun fact, I've actually met this guy. Yes, that's Joshua Graham cosplay. Anyways, they wish him bon voyage to Japan as Weasel walks about and gets a stern talking to from Matt Constantine's friend before collecting a testimony from her. He takes his job seriously. Matt Constantine's brother interrupts the shot, and the one time things work out, he zooms in on a lady that catches his eye. Later, he's seen watching her drink as he hypes himself up to approach her before... Understandable, dude. Nerves get even the best of us sometimes. He must have gotten a pep talk from the ginger dude because in the next scene, he approaches her and he sees if he can get a testimony. He's a bit awkward, but the girl named Marlena gives her testimony to the best of her ability. Fun fact, the actress here named Lizzie Kaplan had no idea the kind of movie she was getting into. She thought it was a romantic movie until she showed up to the audition, and once she got the part, she couldn't look at the rest of the script. That said, I do think this qualifies as a romantic movie. You'll see why in a sec. Anyways, they have an awkward conversation as she bails ASAP when she sees it's the dude from the Emoji Movie behind the camera. Matt Constantine arrives and they all cheer. He asks Weasel if Beth is showing up, but no one knows, so probably not. The night goes on with some drinks, music, dancing, people passing out, a dude named Travis, and many other things. Matt Constantine seems a little lonely at his own party. The camera glitches to him and Beth for a second as Weasel asks if he's good. They have a shot together and Weasel tries to get Beth to do a testimony now that she's arrived. The air is a bit awkward as she wishes him all the best before getting pulled out by Matt Constantine. Weasel does some espionage and gets immediately caught. The brother and Weasel talk to the friend, and we hear apparently Beth and Matt Constantine's relationship is a bit more complex than we thought. They're supposed to keep this on the down low, so naturally Weasel tells Shades, Marlena, and anyone else who's at the party. Very covert, Weasel. Beth and Travis leave as the trio trying to figure out how to make things better. They hang out on the balcony and have a talk about the relationship. Matt Constantine feels like shit but tries to cover it, saying they're done, and his brother calls him a dick. What a good brother. The two try to bring him up and tell him to go get Beth. I'm not gonna lie, dude, we're about 20 minutes into this movie and I haven't seen a single clover or a single field. Where are the Cloverfield? Oh dear. The party thinks it was all an earthquake and head outside, a bit paranoid about what it was. Some say it was a terrorist attack before an explosion goes off, sending fireballs in their direction. They run outside and we get our trailer shot. It's on now, baby. Marlena, Matt Constantine, his brother, the friend, and Weasel are shocked as a building collapses. They run to get inside the gas station for shelter before the glass shatters and the power dies. There's a roar heard in the distance as the brother leaves. Matt Constantine follows as we see what looks like an apocalyptic wasteland. Marlena survived the debris as the citizens look around in awe of what they witnessed. The screen glitches as Weasel rewinds, but we see a quick bit of Matt Constantine and Beth in their better days. The team decides to head to the Brooklyn Bridge to try and get out. Marlena reveals whatever this was, it was eating people. There's no time to dwell on it as the crew heads out. We see some paramedics trying to help people as officers scramble to guide the rest. The crowd does their walk to the bridge as we see helicopters flying around. They are told to keep moving as Weasel sees the wreckage of the city, claiming the footage is going to be important once this is all over. Matt Constantine gets a call from Beth, but the crew keeps pushing ahead. The brother is getting lost in a crowd as Beth is seemingly in a panic. It's all cut off as the tail collides with the bridge, killing the brother. The bridge starts falling down as our crew is running to get off. They make their way back into the city as their friend is panicking. Matt Constantine is in shock as Weasel notices people looting a store nearby. Weasel tries to get everyone moving, but it seems like it's all just too much for our crew to handle. Matt Constantine sprints across the street towards the store as Weasel follows. Side note, I understand looting would absolutely happen in this situation, but like, the tech store? Really? New Yorkers are weird, dude. It's the apocalypse, but you're looking for an HD TV instead of, oh, I don't know, food, water, weapons, hell, even a pillow? Amateurs, dude. Anyways, we see news footage of the bridge getting destroyed as there's a bit of footage of this thing as military cars speed by. Weasel catches a glimpse of the creature while the military tries to evacuate people. Matt Constantine wanders the store as Weasel catches an airing of SpongeBob and more news footage on the side. There's reports of some kind of creatures falling off the monster and attacking people. Marlena shows up and tells them it's time to bounce as Matt Constantine has Beth on the phone. It would appear she needs a hero. Matt Constantine and the crew head out to save Beth as they all call him insane. He tells them to go with the military, but they refuse to leave their man behind. They go for a stroll down the street as a Russian man corners Weasel before Marlena drags him away. If you want to be sad, the translation of this dude's dialogue reveals he's actually begging Weasel to help him find his wife and child, believing he can't live without them. Things don't get much better as a missile flies above head. The military goes all battlefield on these guys, and we're stuck right in the middle of it. Bullets fly, missiles fire, and just about everything in between goes off. Weasel tries calling to the crew as they tell him to follow along from across the street. We get a quick greeting from our monster as Weasel falls into the subway with the crew. Our team is trying to recover from all of that as the lights struggle to stay on. Matt Constantine suggests they go through the platforms as Weasel calls this insane. We get a depiction of whenever I'm told YouTube copyrights our videos. And our man gets a call on his phone. Turns out it's his mother. He tells her about his brother dying, and soon after, we're just sitting on the subway hoping we don't find Jared. Marlena sits all by herself as Weasel doesn't know how to approach the situation. Marlena, however, laments that she was supposed to meet up with friends after the party. Instead, she's trapped in this nightmare with TJ Miller. Yeah, I feel for you. Matt Constantine, however, proposes they walk the tunnels instead of sitting here waiting to die. The camera has a flashlight, so we're all good to go through the deep roads. Weasel speculates this thing is from the ocean, or could be like Superman and from another planet. He's shocked Marlena knows of Superman, which, I mean, dude, come on, she's a punk rocker, yes she is. Anyways, Weasel then brings up how some dude was lighting homeless people on fire down here, which brings the rest of the crew down. So that's what Jared has been up to, huh? Rats run by, which causes them to realize they have to be running from something. The tension is building as a noise is then heard in the darkness. Weasel then turns on the night vision and sees creatures around the ceiling. They run for their lives as their friend is tackled. We get into a fight as Marlena saves Weasel but gets bit by one of the creatures. The crew runs off as the camera glitches to more footage of Beth and Matt Constantine. We cut back to Weasel cleaning the camera and then inspecting Marlena's wound. Our main man raids a vending machine as Weasel tries to make some comedy out of the situation while also thanking Marlena. I sense a love story, everyone. The crew votes no more tunnels after this and wants to see what's going on outside the subway. The crew emerges and finds a military checkpoint has been set up in what looks like a shopping center. Matt Constantine asks questions, but they don't have any answers. They're trying to help as many people as they can as we see a soldier with a pulverized chest get dragged by. We're told in 15 minutes, it's go time. They're going to be taken to a chopper despite Matt Constantine's cries to help his girlfriend. Marlena, however, isn't feeling good. Two medics grab her as she vomits blood. They scream out she's got a bite. Soon after, we see the shadow of Marlena explode as our trio gets pushed away. Should have taken your shot, Weasel. The military reveals he's letting them go, but there is a caveat. They need to get out by 6 a.m. The military is launching one final effort to kill this thing, which if it fails, the entire city is going to get leveled. Weasel is feeling emotional, but sucks it up for his friends. They run across the streets of New York encountering a horse before seeing Beth's apartment is tilted against another building. Talk about a tilted tower, man.
So, this is the fabled Tilted Towers.
Weasel proposes they climb this stable building and make their way upward to the other. The elevators are obviously broken, so they take the stairs, Eminem style. Weasel speculates the government might have made this thing, but also admits this is probably just nerves. They reach the top and make their way across to find the princess in the castle. High fives all around, folks. The problem is she's impaled through the torso and barely clinging to life.
Oh, look at that.
As a result, they pull her off and start to book it. While crossing, they see the monster approaching with explosions on his back. We're now sprinting down the building with monsters coming out at us. Missiles fly above head throughout the street as the monster is in our vicinity. Tanks are taken out, helicopters fly by, but we made it, everyone. The crew runs to the helicopters as the friend gets loaded into a different chopper. They fly off as Weasel is third wheeling. The monster has arrived, so our crew jumps in as the bombing run is set to start. We're now in the skies as the US military shows off some of its strength. The streets are turned into an inferno, which supposedly takes the monster down until...
Shit right there, that's what I'm talking.
The helicopter crashes through the sky as our crew pulls themselves out of the wreckage. Matt Constantine is injured as Weasel helps them get up. He grabs the camera only to come face to face with the big bad himself. He stares it in the eye until... Weasel is now about 4 feet shorter, with our couple being all that's left of the crew. They run to a bridge in Central Park as Matt Constantine states their names, the date, and their location. A siren is heard as he explains they're about to nuke the city. He is afraid, and he doesn't know what is going to happen. Beth is equally afraid as the explosion goes off. Our couple proclaims their love as the camera glitches to an earlier date, April 27th. We see the beach, and out of the sky, if you look closely, you can see something fall into the water, as our couple says they had a good day. See, I told you it's a romance movie. What happens next? Cut to credits, but there's no Linkin Park. Instead, we hear a recording that, if played backwards, tells us that it's still alive. Cloverfield is nearly 20 years old, but goddamn does it still have an impact. The movie was more than just a crazy marketing gimmick with its trailer and numerous other things they did. They actually had websites for the movie to help build the lore of the universe and even set up MySpace pages for the characters in the movie. It should come without saying, but those pages are now inactive, but it is believed to be due to the fact that in the universe, these characters are dead. Some even believe the fact that the Friends' MySpace is inactive is supposed to signify her helicopter didn't make it out either, as she's the only character of our crew that we have no idea of what happened to once the credits rolled. There's tons of websites dedicated to the lore of Cloverfield, or rather just its marketing. Even some of the side characters featured at the party had websites referencing them, like the girl who passed out on the couch, for example. Really, it was a giant internet puzzle that people had to solve to learn about more of the universe. This in turn made the marketing an alternate reality game, or an ARG as many call it. This in turn led to a huge connection with the audience as it brought fans as close as they could to living in this world. And really, that's a huge part of what I feel makes an amazing found footage movie. It's the immersion. The genre saw a huge moment with movies like Blair Witch Project that fooled many into believing it was real. And while it was clear Cloverfield was fake, the immersion of its marketing and film itself was something cinema hasn't seen before and honestly hasn't seen since. If I'm being honest, the closest I ever saw to something like this was that movie A Cure for Wellness. Even then, it didn't succeed nearly as much as the Cloverfield marketing did. In many ways, it feels like this is the perfect marketing campaign a movie like this could ask for. The age of the internet has made it hard to pull tricks like this more often, sadly. We have access to just about everything to help differ reality from fiction, so stuff like Blair Witch is just not possible anymore. And I wonder if a marketing like Cloverfield can ever be replicated. But again, it wasn't even just a flashy, cool commercial stuff. The movie itself still holds up. The story is simple as we're following just average people trying to rescue a friend in need during a larger-than-life event. The CG may look slightly dated on the crab monsters, but Clover himself still looks great all these years later. A common complaint about the movie is that the shaky cam is a bit too much. It's nauseating to some, and I can understand that. If you got motion sickness, I'd recommend taking that into account before viewing. That said, I do think this was necessary. This ties into a claim I hear often about this movie, and that is that Cloverfield is the American Godzilla, and it's a term I agree with. The surface level comparison of that term and movie checks out, but it's a lot deeper than that. Yes, we can see that both movies have a giant kaiju monster rampaging through a city, but the comparisons don't end there. If you're not aware, Godzilla is more than just a monster. He's the trauma response of an entire country through cinema. We've said it before, but Godzilla is supposed to represent the nuclear bomb. He is a being of mass destruction humans cannot stop once he is unleashed, and his awakening is caused by man reaching too far than he was ever meant to. The nuclear bomb is a controversial moment in history, as many believe it was the moment humanity had gone too far in its weaponry to support its ideology-fueled conflicts. If you watched Oppenheimer, you'd know exactly what I mean. The scene where Oppenheimer fears he ended the world through the creation of the nuclear bomb sums it up greatly. So if Godzilla is a trauma response of Japan to World War II, what is Cloverfield? Cloverfield is America's cinematic trauma response to 9/11. The movie takes place in New York, and we see just an average day in the lives of our protagonists. If you follow the ARG, these people feel even more human than if you were just an average watcher. Then suddenly disaster strikes. An unknown enemy causes mass destruction at the cost of tons of lives. People are scared, confused, and they need help. I was still shitting diapers when 9/11 happened, but when I talk about it with family members and co-workers who were sentient at that time, all of them seem to use the same words to describe what it felt like in the moment and even afterwards. Some of the imagery in the movie supports this. The tower collapsing as the debris floods the streets is exactly what some footage of 9/11 looks like after the towers crumble. Speaking of towers, Beth's apartment being tilted against the other is likely an eerie reference to the two towers lost on 9/11. Some of the shots of the city in flames almost look identical to the shots of the city when the towers were hit. Perhaps I'm reaching, but the parallels feel a bit too real. Regardless of if it's all just a 9/11 allegory or if it's just a cool found footage movie with a hip marketing campaign, I still think this movie is an outright masterpiece of the genre. It makes sense that Weasel wants to get as much footage as he can since this is a moment in history. Some people probably would have ditched it ASAP, but I can easily view some people recording the whole thing for clout or something more noble. People record entire concerts on their phones nowadays. There's no way someone isn't recording all of this. I'm gonna give Cloverfield a straight 10 out of 10. It's a staple of the genre and a thought-provoking piece. Well, that was a fun ride, wasn't it? We here at 4plus are always grateful to see you guys show us support and watch our content. Every week, we do our damnedest to give you the best entertainment we can find. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week for more frights. Now, if you'll excuse me, I got a party to go to for Mr. Plus. See you there.